to deafblind little dogs, Piglet and Georgie. So I'm Melissa Shapiro. I'm guessing that most people at least know about my dogs from social media, but if not, I'm a veterinarian and I've always had a special interest in disabled, special needs, whatever, we don't call them that anymore, and senior pets and rescue in general, to support rescue groups and support rescue animals, and of course encourage people to adopt rather than buy from breeders. These are my social media pages. This is our Facebook page, Piglet the Deafblind Pink Puppy, and then on Instagram I have all these ridiculous pages, accounts, including the Disabled Pets Project, which is why what we're talking about today. But certainly these other things are where it started. I have a nonprofit organization called Piglet International Inc. that was created to support our Piglet Mindset Education Program, which is an online collection of PowerPoints and other educational materials that teachers use. They feature my dogs, my tiny dog Piglet, the deafblind pink puppy, and the rest of our rescued group. They feature their example of being positive, compassionate, and kind through PowerPoint presentations, activities, and then school visits. We also have a book, Piglet Comes Home, and a memoir. It's my memoir and my children's book that are part of the program. And then in addition to those, the education program, a big part of Piglet's, our nonprofit, is Piglet's Rescue Fund, where we raise money through webinars and other fundraising activities to donate to rescue organizations, primarily those that are focused on disabled pets. So here, you know that I give money to you. I'm happy you're here. And then a client of mine, I wanted to create I wanted to create a resource for people who have disabled pets, both pet parents and rescuers, but also veterinarians, to use as a resource for support, for information, which I'm going to show you what I have on here, but I have informative PDFs on a variety of topics and categories of disabilities that are on the website for people to go to when they have questions. And then there are support groups listed that I have vetted, looking at on Facebook. Other people have recommended, and then there's supply lists. There's also a list of rescue organizations that focus on disabled pets. And I've got a YouTube channel as well. So all of those things are the Disabled Pets Project. That's what we're going to talk about. But that falls under our nonprofit, and our nonprofit, Piglet International Inc., supports it. So we got a big donation to create this website. And then, of course, I raise money to continue the maintenance and hopefully improvements and upgrades on the website. Anyway, I love to talk about dogs and all of the things that are involved to veterinarians and regular pet parents. And then, of course, I'm also the Humane VMA, Connecticut State Rep. That used to be the HSVMA, which is an affiliate of the HSUS, which is now called Humane World for Animals or something like that. So they called instead of the HSVMA, now it's the Humane VMA. And I have 3 kids, a lot of dogs, 2 little birds. My fish just died 2 days ago, and I have a husband, Warren, who's not here tonight. I know it's very sad. I used to have 8 dogs too, and now we have 7, so that's a whole other story. But in any case, Warren is off visiting his friend, and so he's not here tonight. So this all really did start. I've always had an interest. I had a diabetic dog that I adopted from vet school. My first dog was blind, and we had a deaf border collie. I had a blind bird. I've had disabled pets along the way. I have never had a wheelchair dog, and I've never had a 2-legged dog, but maybe that'll happen at some point. I'm pretty happy with my deaf blind dogs. But when we decided that we would foster Piglet, our little tiny pink deafblind puppy, the feedback I got from my friends, my veterinary colleagues, and others was just astounding. It was so mean and negative. I still cannot believe what people said to me. My friends said to me, you're crazy. What do you need that dog for? What kind of quality of life? That whole that whole realm. And then we had the breeder say, we call dogs like that, they don't have a good quality of life. And that was said to my husband as he was showing these adorable pictures of Piglet to the people that he was working with, and that guy worked there. And that has stuck. I use that to talk about the audacity of people to talk like that about a dog who actually is has the potential to have a very good quality of life. It's just not going to look like what you might think a quality of life is for a dog. And that's the crux of the whole thing here. You know, what is a good quality of life? What animals deserve to be supported? Which animals are suffering so that we should be kind and allow them to be euthanized and have a peaceful death? And that is a whole spectrum from one end to the other. But the comments that were said from people that were my good friends that should know better were really shocking. So it's a common theme. Acquired disabilities in older animals are normalized. I have a dog who can hardly walk. That's fine. We give him laser, we give him all the drugs and all the supplements and all the support. We build ramps, we put carpets all over the floor, and that's fine. But if we find a puppy that can't walk in the same way that the old dog, suddenly it's a problem. And that is a common theme that we see within veterinary medicine, as well as people that are adopting and keeping animals. Why would I would never adopt a dog like my dog Dean. What am I, what's the difference? I have him now and he's does what he does, but you know what I'm saying. So young animals with congenital defects or that are injured, have, broken back and now they're paralyzed. There's a lot of pushback. So this is little Piglet when he was a tiny little baby. Oh, wait, I have to go down here. I don't know why this doesn't play that way. So I don't want to be too cynical, but every time I see this video of my little tiny Piglet, I think of that breeder. And I'd really like to go visit him 8 years later, but I would never get involved. In any case, what is a disabled pet? Disabilities defined. It's a physical or mental condition that limits one or more major life activities, and they may require assistance or support to access a normal life, normal in quotes. It can be moderate or severe. Different animals with the same disability may have different reactions to the change in their life or the way that they were born. They may have different capabilities just based on their personality and temperament. But here are some disabilities that we see in dogs and cats, and I'm talking mostly about dogs and cats because I'm a small animal vet, but this applies to any animal: deaf, blind, deaf blind, neuro issues, cerebellar hypoplasia. We see a lot of hydrocephalus, orthopedic disc disease, arthritis, the older animals, missing limbs, congenital deformities. There are injuries that happen. Some dogs, and well, others are born with abnormal joints. They have pain, or there's no joint there, so that their legs are collapsed down and they can't walk well. Brachycephalic syndrome is a whole entity unto itself with all the different possible congenital defects that those animals are born with, that affect their respiratory system, their skin, their orthopedic. They have all sorts of orthopedic problems, and the list goes on and on. Neurologic, of course. And then there are geriatric animals. Hey, can you just mute yourself, whoever's making that
And
noise?
power laptops, that your laptop batteries.
I would have threw the battery.
All right, love you guys.
Okay, bye for that. Okay, so some of these disabilities are normalized in vet medicine. Like if we see a deaf dog or a deaf cat, it's really not that big of a deal. But if we see a dog like this that had two broken front legs that could not be repaired and had to be amputated, it's like, let's raise our hands and we don't know what to do. But thankfully, we do have social media now that is a place where people are able to post their animals. A dog like this is Cora Rose, belongs to Zach Scow. This dog sets an example for people to say, hey, and also, Amira and her whole group in Canada, we see these dogs and we say, wait, they can live great lives and they're very capable. Okay, so where do they come from? Family pets become disabled, injured, hit by a car. They have cancer that destroys their spinal cord, but they're still living. Now they're paralyzed. They have disc disease. They've got degenerative myelopathy. They become deaf. They become blind, and on and on. They develop epilepsy. They, whatever you can think of, the dogs and cats and others can get. So they could become disabled. And then there are neglect and abuse cases. This is Oscar, who is not alive anymore, but this was him when he was found underneath, I think, the Brooklyn Bridge, one of those bridges. And here he is after he was adopted by his dad, Rick, as like the mayor of Wall Street. And he lived in New York City, ran around in this little cart. He was just the most happy, very, very confident dog, and he lived a very long life with his family. Some are dumped by breeders, of course, and puppy mills. Veterinarians get these animals in. Piglet could have been brought to 9 or 10 veterinarians, and one would have said, wait, he doesn't need to be euthanized, and the rest would have put him to sleep when he was 1 pound and couldn't see and hear and was screaming. Shelters, rescue organizations, Pet Finder, that you can find them anywhere, adoption events. And then there are rescue groups, as we know, that are dedicated to animals with disabilities. So who wants them? Empathetic, compassionate individuals. I'm going to read through this list. When pets become disabled, families do decide to keep them, although a lot of times they are discouraged from keeping them by veterinarians who don't see the big picture, that just because they're struggling today doesn't mean that they can't adjust to their sudden blindness or their suddenly becoming paralyzed. People learn to express bladders. They learn to give insulin injections. They learn to give medications for a variety of illnesses, health issues that would fall under the category of disability. Some people are motivated to adopt after meeting a disabled dog, cat, or other pet. People that know my dog, and I'm sure many of you that are on here listening, have people say, wait, I see your dog, and now I want to go and adopt a disabled dog. And they do, and then they send us notes and say, I just adopted this 3-legged dog or this blind dog or whatever cat. And I talk about dogs, but I mean all of them. So I just lump everyone into dogs because that's what I have. Disabled adopters identify and connect with a disabled animal that has the same disability. People in wheelchairs get wheelchair dogs. People that are deaf have deaf dogs, that sort of thing. Vet techs and vets and others with medical background, they're at the vet hospitals. People dump these animals or they can't afford to treat them. A dog or cat that's been hit by a car and needs a leg amputated or whatever, and they end up adopting them. All veterinarians are not bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to insinuate that. Kind people who are inspired by a particular animal's story. Here's a little dog. It's so cute. Go on the internet, post it all over creation. You got 3,000 people wanting that one dog, but you've got 100 other dogs that they don't want, which is another story, right? And then rescuers seem to find them, and then sometimes it's just unplanned, like with us with Piglet. I had no intention of having a 7th dog, but the opportunity came, and thankfully we decided yes. And this is one of my favorite videos of my 2 boys. Wait, some of them go automatically, and others I have to push like that.
I'll tell the world, I'll sing songs. A better place since you came along.
That's baby Georgie.
Since you came.
There's Piggy. So we are all better off because these guys came along, and I know you all feel about that way with all of your dogs and cats and others too. So evaluating quality of life for older animals, it's much, much more accepted within the pet world, the veterinary world. We're worrying about quality of life, which is a top priority for pet parents as their animals get older because they want to keep them as long as they can, but they want them to be comfortable. And there's a lot of discussion about QOL, quality of life. There are charts to grade the quality of life. We worry about appetite, pain, hygiene. They're peeing on themselves. They're vomiting and laying in it, where they're on the floor slipping all over and peeing, and now they're swimming in urine. activity and mobility. Older and terminally ill animals, we accept decreased mobility. And hearing and vision loss, we accept decreased kidney and other organ function, anxiety, and we also accept that they're going to have good and bad days. We offer accommodations and support to address each issue. My house looks like a puzzle. We've got mats and carpets all over the place. None of them match. I go into people's houses, they got yoga mats everywhere so that their dogs and cats can walk, have traction to jump up on the furniture, and aren't slip sliding all over the place. We build ramps, we buy them wheels, we use special harnesses so that we can sort of schlep them up and down the stairs without hurting ourselves. We make special diets. We buy bedding for them. We change our routines. We stay home. We don't go on vacation. We find special people to babysit for them. And we want to do anything we can to improve or at least sustain a decent quality of life for these older animals. And the difference is that with these older animals, we are making decisions about palliative care and euthanasia rather than a continuation of life, which is what we're talking about for younger disabled pets. So here's Dean and slipping all over on a carpet. Okay, so quality of life for disabled pets, and then I'm talking about not the very end of life terminally ill senior pets. What defines a good quality of life? It's good versus different, right? So with accommodations and support, my little dog Piglet can go on agility equipment, but he's not going to be doing agility equipment like a dog who can see and hear and that's larger than him because I hold his harness. I don't want him to fall off, but does he enjoy it? Does he get something out of it? Do I? Yes. That is a good quality of life. That's something that we do together. And for the people who think that because I have to help him, that means that he's not having a good quality of life, he has to be able to go on a hike in the woods without a harness and a leash, that he should go off leash, then, we're not on the same page. But our page is important for people to learn about because we are taking care of animals that are culled, that shouldn't be culled. This is a dog who can enjoy his life. It's just different than what other dogs have. And in fact, a lot of these dogs that we have and other animals that are disabled are doing things that other dogs and cats and other animals don't do. How many dogs get to go into schools and reach with a message of positivity to thousands and thousands of kids every year for 8 years going already? Not many. And my dogs, Georgie too, gets petted. Georgie gets petted by hundreds and thousands of kids in a school year where another dog's going hiking in the woods. So they each have their own thing. One isn't better than the other, but let's not diminish the life of a disabled dog or other pet. So when you're working with a veterinarian, a lot of vets do not realize the quality of life disabled pets can have when they're coming into the office. They're scared. They can't walk on the floor there. They're being carried. They have a diaper on or whatever. They're not in your house. I do house calls. I go to people's houses. I see the difference between what a vet would see in the office versus at someone's house. And also a lot of veterinarians haven't had the opportunity to really see what the animals can do because they are only seeing them in the office. So they don't know, they're not on Instagram watching all these dogs running around in wheelchairs on the beach with prosthetics or with 2 legs running upstairs. But when educated, a lot of them are open to learning and participating in the care of those pets. And so clients with disabled pets do commonly change vets looking for someone who will settle and sit with them, spend some time with them to talk about what their pets really need. It's a time-consuming thing. That's why we have support groups and other places for support because let's face it, veterinarians in a practice seeing 20-minute appointments are not going to be able to sit with you for an hour and just discuss every last piece of the care for your animal. But they do have clients in their practice that have pets with the same issues as yours possibly. Or maybe you're the one that can then support somebody with a new diabetic or a dog that needs a wheelchair or that needs their bladder expressed. So there are so many resources and avenues of support that we need to raise awareness for. That's what my Disabled Pets Project, that's the purpose of it. So can a profoundly disabled animal have a productive, meaningful, happy life, quality life, of course. So we already said it, I'm not going to belabor the point. But we do want to evaluate each individual, not in comparison to others, but in comparison to themselves. And we want to focus on what they can do, not what they can't do. Animals with non-life-threatening disabilities commonly surpass expectations. I had no idea that my dog Piglet was going to be who he is. And certainly, even when we got Georgie, we just sort of assumed that he would be similar to Piglet, but in fact, he's a completely different dog. And he has very different life than Piglet, but equally as positive and good. So here is this baby Georgie. All right, so quality of life, good versus different. Perception of disabled pets is impacted by individual views. You don't have the same views as I do on what's important for pets, but we're probably more in line than with someone who thinks their dog has to be able to go for a hike in the woods off leash in order to have a good life. But so do all dogs need to be able to do that? No, I don't think so. And I've already talked about all of these things, so I'm not going to say them again. But down here, pet parents do rely on vets, and it is really important for your vet to be on board with you and on the same page. And if they're not, you probably need to find somebody else. House call vets tend to have more time to spend with people, and they tend to be, I think, a little more aligned with this disabled pets circle in pethood. And we should advocate for our animals and not fold. When I brought Lucy to a vet to help me, I thought was going to help me find a brace for her foot, my little Lucy with the broken bones in her foot that didn't heal. The woman walked in the door and said, "Your dog is in pain." I said, "No, she's not." "Yes, she is." "How do you know?" She said that to me. "How do I know she's not in pain?" I said, "Well, I'm a veterinarian and I live with her. I know she's not in pain. I think I can determine if she's in pain. But if I wasn't a vet and someone walked in the door, you would have cut your dog's leg off." I said, "No, I am not amputating her foot or her leg. I'm getting her a brace. And if you can help me find a brace, great. If you can't, then we're done." But that's the kind of treatment that I got, a veterinarian from a specialist. So we do need to advocate for our disabled pets. So here's Debbie with her dogs on the beach in California. All with, beautiful rescue stories, and she keeps adding and adding. I don't know, she's up to 13 or more now. Dogs, and they go to nursing homes, and she's creating a sanctuary. So she's done a lot of good for advocating and raising awareness. All right, so here is my little Piglet. I'm just showing you a couple videos just for entertainment here, but Piglet, he doesn't do this anymore. And you can see there, and Georgie doesn't do that anymore. He decided he's not a walker anymore as of this past week. I don't know what that green line is in the middle there, but so they adapt, and they have great lives. They're supported. We keep them safe. If we didn't keep them safe, they would get hurt, and they would not have a good quality of life. So there is work that goes in, but once you start doing the work, it becomes very normalized to you, and it becomes natural. So this is one of Debbie's dogs on the beach, Elliot, and the other ones. So the prosthetics and the anyway, I'm going to go to the next slide. So the art of caring for disabled pets, I call it the art for veterinarians. There's an art, but there's also an art for everybody. It takes creativity. We as pet parents are accepting the compromise that is is required when we take in some of these animals. There is going to be compromise. Um, Sometimes it's a shortened lifespan. And I know Jamie has those little hydrocephalus dogs, and I know I remembered you talking about it. You know, you accept it that more than likely they're not going to go on for years and years, and sometimes they die very suddenly as tiny little puppies. But if you don't step out and bring them in to support them and give them a good quality of life, then they're going to be euthanized. And everyone has a different point of view about it, but it's if people are willing and they want to help and take these animals and treat them and care for them, then that is to be respected, unless they're really causing suffering and pain that is not going to improve. So it's hard. It's sometimes a hard line to, you know, figure out, but I think that there are cases where it's not in the best interest of the animal to treat and continue on. Um, so veterinarians can diagnose and treat complications associated with disabilities in pets. There are paralyzed dogs who get urinary tract infections. There are all sorts of complications for all the different disabilities. The dogs that I have that are blind, their eyes are not normal. They can end up with uveitis. They can end up with high pressure in their eyes. Their lenses can luxate if they have lenses, and they can end up with a lot of pain needing their eyes to be enucleated. And all of these things come along with the package when you adopt these animals. So caring for, treating secondary medical aspects. Um, people need understanding and compassion, and that's what I hope that veterinarians will continue to learn. And as we raise awareness by sharing our dogs with them and cats with them. So this is Ford the dog, and I'm only showing this because this is a profoundly disabled dog who unfortunately they just lost a couple weeks ago, but they made this float for him to go swimming in a pool. And most people can't do this, but if someone is willing, then veterinarians, it's a responsibility to take care of the health aspect, health issues of these different animals. So, okay. So here we are with Jamie's dogs. This is a little deafblind bulldog. And I'm just showing these cute. So
Climb steps.
she adapted so well, right? And there's her big sister. Jamie, you want to say anything about these dogs?
This is Thea. She was actually adopted in October by a family that had previously had a blind hydrocephalus dog. And they love Thea so much. And she had some complications recently, and she also has hydrocephalus. They did an MRI, but she's doing beautifully and just lives an incredible life. And her mom was inspired by her former brother Arbor to become a neurological surgeon for animals. So she is currently studying to become a veterinarian neurological surgeon.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So nice. So, and then these two, I'm going to play this video if you want to
Sure.
talk about them
So
too.
on the left is Hoopsie, and Hoopsie has severe hydrocephalus. He was surrendered to us when he was about 2 years old, I think. And just really opened up and blossomed with medication and supplements, and just really kind of letting him shine and be accepted for who he was and live in a house where everyone was kind to him. So he also got adopted by a beautiful family that has hydrocephalus experience. So he is the king of a 20-acre beautiful property in Montana now. And then that little chubby hippopotamus next to him is Hunapono. He also has hydrocephalus, and we ended up adopting him into our family. So he's a permanent resident at our animal sanctuary.
Oh, that's so nice. So present moment rescue is Jamie's rescue in California. Okay, so this is Basil, who's one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite dogs on Instagram because he's so happy, and I'm feeling like I should have invited his mom. I don't know if she's here. She probably isn't because we were not in touch, but um, normalizing disabilities in pets is the mission of the Disabled Pets Project is to normalize to I'm going to start this over again. Sorry. It was created to raise awareness, educate, advocate, and normalize disabilities in pets. And the disabledpets.org website is an informative resource and support network for vets, pet parents, and rescuers who are caring for disabled dogs, cats, and other pets. So this dog is like classic what this is created for. And I also just wanted to mention, as I'm talking about now, this new project that I created, is that when the Arizona case, the Chandler, Arizona case happened with April hoarding all those animals that rescuers had sent to her, thinking that she was going to do a better job because her rescue was focused and specialized in special needs disabled dogs. They were fooled. She was a con artist. She was an abuser of animals and people. And if you know the case, then you know what I'm talking about. So I also wanted to create this website for rescuers so that they could go there and say, okay, this is on here. Here's a rescue that specializes in hydrocephalus dogs. I'm going to contact them, not so much to send animals there, but to at least get support. So when they have a dog with hydrocephalus, or a cat or a kitten with hydrocephalus, or they have a dog with whatever the disability is, they can find a rescue group that is on the website, which I know is not a con artist, to help or possibly even shift the animal there. And I know that happens a lot. There are rescue groups that get a deaf or blind dog, and they really aren't equipped to place them because it does take some extra care in finding the right home for all of these disabilities, all these disabled animals. So even if they get support from that rescue in helping find a home, networking the animals and shifting them around some, there needs to be some sort of control so that people aren't blindly sending their animals to an abuser. And that woman is not the only one. So, we just don't know how do you trust who you're sending your pets to, these rescue animals to. So that was another part of there was my own dog and all the things that were said to me. And I talked to plenty of people on Instagram about, and other places about their rescued animals and disabled pets that they're not getting it. They're not getting the care they need from vets. They're not getting the support in their communities. And so I thought this would be a nice thing to do, to create a hub for that purpose. So, whoops, let me just show you Basil. So he was in China. They cut his penis off. They cut his legs off. And he runs around in this drag bag or his wheels, and he gets chronic UTIs, which she treats. Veterinarians tell her to put her dog to sleep, and on he goes. And he is just adorable. He's so, so sweet and adorable, isn't he? So I just love this dog, and he's a great example to show veterinarians of why they should not recommend euthanasia so quick. Now, she spends a lot of money, but people with disabled pets tend to be some of the best clients for vets. So okay, here she is, and her mom's on here. So I already said this. It's a informative resource and support network for vets, pet parents, rescuers who are caring for disabled dogs, cats, and other pets. So let me play the video of this adorable little girl. I don't know if her mom wants to say anything, but there she is.
That's my sweet little Amira. She's behind me, sound asleep on the bed.
She
So
is the cutest thing
yeah,
going. Look at
she's
her.
a good little girl.
Another great ambassador for disabled pets, dogs with two legs.
Yeah, she's got quite a lovely following of people who now see what's available out there, you know,
Yeah.
to dogs when they would normally think, you know, what kind of quality of life does this dog have crawling around? And then she gets on her wheels or puts her legs on and off she goes, and she's no different than any other dog, even without them, you know, even without the wheels or the legs.
And then you have two others.
And then I have
Baby
two
Wyatt.
others, Baby Wyatt and little Yuki, and the three of them are like chaos, but so
know.
much fun. Yeah, they're just
They're so adorable.
yeah.
So I'm gonna try to share this website. I don't know how it's gonna work. Can you see this? Anybody? Can you see the website now?
I can see it.
You can. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the website. It's called it's disabledpets.org, and I just want to give you a little tour. It was I don't know what this green line on the screen is. It's driving me crazy, so I'm very sorry about that. But I already said the mission and what it's for. But you can see here there are 4 boxes. There's information about disabilities in pets. There's vets, for pet parents and rescuers. There's Becca with Butters, the woman who broke that case in Chandler, Arizona. And so if we go here, and then what's down here? Just some words of wisdom from me, yours truly. But if you go here, you can see that this is the Disabilities in Pets directory, and there are PDFs of all of these different categories of disabilities. And I spend a huge amount of time creating these. I hope you'll go look at them, even if you don't have any need to learn anymore. But deaf-blind pets, of course, those are separated because there are such differences in causes. So within each of these, let me just open one. Can you see this now? Hopefully. Anyway, I just have all different aspects of whatever the disability is. So there's care, there's support for pet parents, and all right, so let me go out of this and go back to here. Anyway, they're all like that. Some are longer and shorter than others. And then if we go to the vets one, you can see here, this is advice for veterinarians. So here, simple steps for vets to support pet parents. Find other clients whose pets have similar issues to serve as mentors. Learning about online support groups, which is another part of the website. That's a link to it. And other sources of information for your clients. Sharing a list of these helpful mentors groups and rescue organizations and other resources with their clients. So these are different topics that I wanted to raise to veterinarians. And then for pet parents, same thing. Here's a little blurb about how to find a vet, rescue groups that are disabled pet friendly. So here, let's go here. So here's a directory of disabled pets rescue organizations. So here is a bunch of links to rescues that focus on disabled and senior pets. Here are rescues that focus on hearing and vision, and so on. So then going back up here for rescuers, I've got just advice and information for rescuers that I think is helpful, and I'm very open to adding more and changing if anyone has the time to look on here and contribute some ideas and suggestions and recommendations. I am open, especially if you're willing to do some of the work. Working with other rescues, a little blurb about that. And what is this? Rescue organization list and network. So here, let's see where that goes. Oh, it went right back to here. Let me see, where is the general rescue organizations that are, okay. Oh, this is just all of the different rescue organizations. So yes, okay. So then I have instructional videos, which are on YouTube, which I'm not going to go to, but there's not many. And if you have videos that you would like to contribute to it's like instructional, informational videos that you have of your own pets, giving medication, changing a diaper, putting them in wheels. I have some of that on here, but the more the merrier. And then support groups. So here I've got hearing and vision support groups. So here's a bunch of support groups and other places to contact, and these are dog training places for deaf-blind and deaf-blind dogs, and other organizations that would apply to this top category. Mobility, here are some mobility support websites that have information. Dodgers List Facebook page and their website, which has information about IB disc dogs, and this goes on and on. So here's Senior Pets. There are a couple of support groups there. I know there are more. So if you have any that you trust, that you find are helpful, I'm not looking for propaganda Facebook groups that are bad-mouthing veterinarians and every pharmaceutical company, but that are genuinely supportive and helpful with science-based and evidence-based information and support is what I want to put on here. Supplies list, same thing. Here I've got harnesses, help them up, wheelchairs. I've got a few wheelchair places for braces. And suggestion here, consider contacting a prosthetics school in your area to help build a brace for your dog, cat, or other pet, which is what I had to do because these guys were not helpful to me for my dog, Lucy. And then I have events, which unfortunately I don't have that many events, but I would love, love, love to have maybe a monthly or every other month meeting of people that are interested in just discussing disabilities in pets. Maybe we pick a topic just to have not me making a whole webinar out of it, but a discussion group about, this month we're going to talk about hydrocephalus dogs, and Jamie's going to, be the expert on there, and we come on and we learn about it. If anyone's interested, I would love to offer that, but I don't want to do it for 5 people. I want it to be, I want there to be real interest, because I want us to be, if we're going to spend time offering something, I want it to reach enough people that it's worth our time and energy to do it, especially if it's free. So I have the Disabled Pets community on Facebook, which has 2,600 people in the group. A lot of them, most of them are Piglet followers that don't have disabled pets, but there are people with disabled pets on there. I need more people to raise awareness and get on there asking questions and contributing experiences, because otherwise it's just me and people waiting for that to happen. So if it's a very nice group, and the people that have posted about their own pets are just lovely. The pets, the dogs, the cats, and whatever other animals they post on there are so sweet, but we're not getting a lot of traction with real problems that people are asking about. So I would love to see that. And then, of course, we have our Instagram page, which is at Disabled Pets Project. So that is a sort of an overview of the website. And how do I get out of this? Do I just go back to here? Let me see. Do I go out of this? Yeah, there we go. Okay. My daughter would be so happy to know that I did this and it worked. Okay. So just to finish up, I've already talked to you. I showed you what's on the website, so I don't need to go through this again. It's an ongoing effort. Please contribute. Raise awareness, share it with other people. If you have someone with a deaf and blind dog, send them to the website, send them to our Facebook group. We will support and help. And there's already information on the website for them to see and use. People send me questions, and I'm now sending them saying, it's all there. Go there, read it, and then ask questions if you still have them, because there's a lot of questions that are answered on that, on these PDFs that I created. So this is a little dog. This is Candy in her drag bag. And she had an injury when she was a baby. Her legs were all twisted, and they actually amputated her legs, which was very helpful to her. She has wheels. They had put a diaper on her, and she runs around, and she's just as cute as a button. And then these are videos that I have on the YouTube channel, but this is Lilo. the little dachshund, she passed away not that long ago, but her mom made this video with changing the whole setup. So she had her in this little drag bag because she had disc disease and was paralyzed. But she had her all set up with the diaper. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but this is the kind of thing that I'm looking for my for the website, because I want people to be able to see this is how you do it. And I would love more instructional videos on actually how to express a bladder from veterinarians if we could get that. But also people who have good experience in doing it. So this is Django and his mom. He became blind when he was 3 acutely, and she worked with him extensively because he was very upset when he became blind. He was disoriented, he was scared, and she taught him that she increased his confidence by teaching him with a long line first, and then he learned to listen for his ball, and he learned to go out and play ball. He could hear it, and then he could smell it, of course, once it was on the ground, not making noise. And then he knew to come to her because she could call him because he can hear. Okay, so these are social media platforms. The Disabled Pets Community at Disabled Pets Project, sponsored by Piglet the Deafblind Pink Puppy and Pink Piglet Puppy. And I don't know why I wrote that. Cool account showcasing disabled pets and their inspirational lives. I guess that's all of our social media platforms. So these are my dogs getting their ramp after the old dogs were having trouble on the stairs. Piglet had a back problem, so he couldn't go up and down the stairs. And I just, it took a year and a half because we were doing construction on the back of our house, but we did get this ramp. And today, unfortunately, I put this non-slip tape, which is black, sort of tar-like, on the ramp because they were slipping on that carpet. And Piglet got on there today. It was very sunny out, and he was picking his feet up. I'm like, oh my God. It was burning hot. So I removed all of the tape that was in the sun, and I've got to put something else on there with a little more traction than that particular carpet, because the little ones can do it, but the big dogs, Dean has trouble getting up there without the extra non-slip. So here they are. These
I
are
got
my
a great
dogs.
product that might work perfectly for that, Melissa.
Oh, good.
Less
Let me
than a
know.
week. Yeah.
Because we can't have it baking, and we need them to be able to walk up it. There's little Georgie. And this was just showing how they adapted from using stairs to then using the ramp, because Piglet, we didn't want on the stairs anymore. And they had to learn where that gray mat at the bottom, they could smell that mat. So rather than finding the slate at the bottom of the stairs, the 2 little deaf-blind dogs find the mat. And then once they find that, they know the opening to the ramp is there. There's my beauty. And Zoe and Evie have back problems. Annie loves the ramp. She loves agility, going up and down the ramp. Anyway, yeah, so in the conclusion, disabled pets are trending. We know that. It's time to change our mindset. Euthanasia is not the answer. And there are so many helpful resources available for vets, pet parents, rescuers. I hope my website is one of them. And I would really like to use the website as a hub to share other resources, obviously, in addition to what I put on there myself. So share. And this is Basil again in hiking. All right, so here's the Disabled Pets Project. What did I write on here? Well, I have books too, and this is my educational program. So if anyone's in Concord, New Hampshire, or the area on Saturday, we're talking at an event for deaf and hard of hearing people at 10:15 in Concord, New Hampshire. There's information on our website, pigletmindset.org. And I think that is what I have. Thank you very much for listening. Let me turn this off, and then we can all be back together again. So does anyone have any questions or discussion, comments, whatever? I am really bad at looking at the chat. There's a lot in the chat. So how do we look at the chat? Show chat.
Hey, Melissa, it's Naja. How are you?
Hi.
Hi, I'm Tonka's Journey's mom, if anybody knows them. My dogs are all born with severe front limb deformities, and I have so many resources that I've been collecting over the past 8 years to help these guys. So I'm happy to
Fair.
connect with you and get that stuff on the website for everybody. And I've got a lot of discount codes too.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, lots of discount codes. I put in the chat just there, the ramp that I got for my kids. It's actually like the best engineered ramp I've ever seen in my life. There's cleats on it so that they have something to push off of, especially there's also like what do you call it, guards on the side, so if they fall it's going to catch them and get them to retract. So I've got a lot of videos showing my dogs on there and even stumbling and how the ramp works really, really good. So that's just an
That's,
example.
we for our ramp, we made a guardrail for the little
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah,
And they actually use it, and we try to be there because they can't see where they're going. And
right.
our stairs are steep, so the ramp had to come out, but Dean actually fell off the ramp
Oh shit.
very badly. And thankfully he didn't get hurt. And I was literally standing like right there, but not right there. So
Yeah.
he is not allowed on the ramp anymore by himself.
Yeah,
And we can get him up and down, but this ramp is not built for a big dog. It is really
right.
built for the little ones.
Yeah,
But it works well enough for the big, or well, we had two, but they're only 30 pounds. But for
right.
Dean, he needs it, but usually we never leave our dogs outside, so it's okay. But having a good guardrail is,
Makes a huge difference.
yeah,
Huge difference.
it
And the
does,
way that the
especially
guy
if they're,
designed it, the way
yeah,
he designed it is to hit the dog at a specific area that's not going to scare them, but it's going to help them to
right.
continue moving. So like I said, I put the website up there and there's so much, he's got a lot of information. He's local too. He's in Guilford, Connecticut.
You got to send me this stuff not on
I
here
will.
because I don't
Yeah,
even know how to use what's on here.
that's fine. We'll connect and I'll send you
Yeah.
everything for
But
sure.
like, yeah, the guardrail that we have here, we didn't know how high we were going to make it, but it hits their shoulders. But our dogs are 6 pounds; they're tiny, so it
Mhm.
hits them. And usually, like I said, we try to be there, but it also, and then there's the side of the house for a lot of it. But it really makes a difference. Like when I I didn't even show the video of Piglet on the A-frame, but
Mhm.
I'm holding his harness when he's on an A-frame. But we could, like, if we wanted to give him accommodation, so he has an A-frame that was my father built for him, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have guardrails. So
Yeah.
I always just hold him, but like we could make it potentially, then it would be like a tunnel going up and down.
Right. Well, it's
Anyway.
people don't even realize what a big difference having the right kind of ramp for an animal does.
Oh, yeah.
It just gives them freedom. It gives them the ability to make choices that,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. That's what we
without,
say. Yeah,
yeah,
because we say, oh, Piglet, when we watch Piglet go up his ramp by himself and he feels so independent. We didn't
yeah,
want to, we were carrying him and we didn't want him to, we wanted him to be able to go
agency.
up on his own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gives them agency.
Yeah.
That's what they need. So, but thank you, Melissa, for this. This was an amazing,
I hope that everybody's, finds it
yeah.
useful and worthwhile. I don't, hi, Caitlin.
Hey,
And also, I mean, we're both in Connecticut, so even if we want to meet up physically sometime too.
I
I'm
know,
up
well, we know each other, so, yeah.
Yeah, I've taken care of your animals before, your bird.
I know.
Many,
Hey,
many years
Melissa.
ago, like 10 years ago, like
It
forever
was
ago.
more than that.
Yeah.
Melissa,
Yeah.
there's a question on the chat that I don't know if you see it or not, from Pam. Does the website address anxiety and dementia in pets?
I think in the senior pet one, it should be in there. I'll check and make sure. I'm pretty sure it's in there. I haven't looked at it in a little while, but that is an extensive it was a PowerPoint into a PDF, so I'm gonna make sure. I think I had discussed this with somebody at some point, but if it's not, I'll add it. So I'm just,
Thank you.
yeah, and it definitely is a big issue, and it certainly is a disability, so not easy to deal with. Anybody else got any? I know I do a lot of talking. I enjoy talking about this. This is my favorite subject, so. Bringing in a tiny little deaf and blind dog, it is definitely life-changing, and getting a little dog like this, life-changing. She has a cataract, but I hope she's not gonna be blind. I can't, this one, I don't know. She's already mean. I don't know how she would be if she couldn't see. Ah. So anybody who has anything, any groups, any kind of links and things that you feel are worthy, just send me an email. The email is I don't remember what the email is for this. Anyway, it's on the website.
Okay.
I think it's called Disabled Pet. Wait, I'll tell you what it is because I'm trying to keep it separate from all my other stuff. Let me just go on here. I think it's Disabled Pets Project at Gmail, but hold on a second. It's actually, yes, Disabled Pets Project at Gmail. That's where it is. That's the email. So yeah. All right. Well, if there's nobody else that wants to speak or say anything, then we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Melissa.
And also, I want to say thank you to everyone who has sent me videos, and there are a few of you on here, of your dogs to use in my talks, because believe it or not, I can show all these videos of my dogs, and they are amazing. I mean, my little deaf and blind dogs running around on the stairs and doing whatever they do, but when I show pictures of two-legged dogs and dogs with hydrocephalus and dogs with cerebellar hypoplasia and all of those other things, that's what I'm actually showing to veterinarians, and I'm very thankful. I have not had any kind of great response from vets, of course, which I actually did not expect. But I mean, I did not expect to have a great response, but I was able to talk to vet students in California back in the spring. It was only 20 vet students, but they were very, very excited about the website and the information because they're coming out of vet school and they can't figure out what they're going to do when they see that first dog that needs to be in a wheelchair. And they are very open to learning. And I'm going to give a talk to these students at Virginia Tech, that vet school, and these are students that are in the club, which was the HSVMA, Humane Society Veterinary Medical Association, which is now Humane VMA. So I'm getting some gigs talking to the vet students, which I'm just delighted. And then I'm going to go to there's a SAVMA, which is the Student AVMA, American Veterinary Medical Association. Their big conference is going to be in North Carolina at the vet school in March. And while I doubt they're going to let me talk, I'm going to go because I'm going to be at the table for the Humane VMA, HSVMA. And then I'll be in there and then I can give out my cards for the Disabled Pets Project and try to then recruit some interest in hearing about it. So that's my plan. And I hope also that I can get some schools to go to down in North Carolina while we're down there for our Piglet Mindset program. So anyway, if you know of veterinarians, tell them about this. I mean, you all know veterinarians. And also, if you have any groups, rescue groups, or others that would want to hear about this project and learn about the website, let me know because I'm happy to talk to anybody about it. Mwah. Okay, and we're not doing cupcakes to all our piggy followers. because little OCD girl, she couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, and
It
Caitlin's had a
ended.
bad week, so we're gonna say hi to Caitlin and hang in there. You're doing good work.
Caitlin, thanks for coming.
Thanks
And
for
thanks to everybody for coming.
And
So,
there's Amira.
yeah. And Diana's like the mayor of the Piglet following
Oh,
Not really.
Zoom
And here
call.
here I sit in a dorm room on my college campus at my 50th reunion.
Oh, that's so nice.
So here I am with all my friends. Yeah. So
Well, I'm glad you
I'll
joined
be
because
telling all
other
them
people would have
about
said they couldn't.
yeah, I'll be telling them all about Piglet while I'm here.
Your poor friends.
Oh, come on. You know.
Tell them about baby
We've
Georgie
had,
too.
you know, in Altadena, we've had terrible problems with pets being burned. And so there are a lot of vets that are working on all of that for people, which is really hard. But
It's very difficult.
I live in Altadena that burned up in January. So, yeah, so I've been watching Pasadena Humane. A bunch of the rescues have been helping the burned dogs. It's bad to see, but I'm glad they're there.
All right. I know it's hard to say goodbye, but I'm gonna leave.
Okay.
I'm going to take care of my little doggies, Piggy Lee. He's sleeping in a little cat bed over there. And they're all waiting because they think they're getting cupcakes. But they're not. They're so. She's down here with her little cataract looking at me. Okay. Be in touch, everybody.
Chaos.
Really, thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you,
Melissa.
All right,
Tell
take care.
Warren I said hi.
I will.
Thank
I'll
you,
be glad.
Melissa.
He's gonna be sad that he missed it. We'll do it again.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.